very important themes are touched upon in Dominick's Run Little Boy. The infantile reactions of the judicial system, the heartless brutality of the double-headed police guard, police monster, which I thought was was very creative. I also liked the lifeless blonde-haired bystander, who is just sort of witnessing but not really seeing. The it on Springs was was a very nice artistic touch to it. Filmed in 2D animation, which is among my favorite styles of entertainment. I also wanted to credit the tone of the music, which I thought accompanied the action of the characters, and just very captivating sense of animation. I hate to compare artistry, but for the sense of film, it's sometimes necessary just for time reasons. But it really kind of reminded me in thematic ways of Ralph Steadman's work, which has also been, and Banksy's work too, very anti systematic, and very beautiful to look at.
I thought this was really, really good. I loved, like, there were such powerful ideas and themes being conveyed in this. I also loved the animation. I loved, like, the kind of 2D drawing, like, style of it. I thought that was really well executed. It definitely was an interesting perspective, and it really showed a lot of different concepts and ideas. I also loved at the very end when it was like you can't ever get rid of that. Like, whatever you do to try and silence or whatever else is just gonna bring back more and multiply and multiply and multiply. And there's so much strength and so much unity to be had. And I thought that all of that was conveyed really well.
I was definitely a fan of the animation style, that sort of janky grease pencil style. I really dig it. And for whatever's going on in this one, I just thought it was really compelling. Just a lot of visually interesting things going on here in this sort of fantastical world. And yeah, they just do a really good job at bringing us in there and showing us what they got. And it definitely makes it worth checking out.
I thought it was so imaginative, and I liked the rustic artistic approach to the animation, and there was so much story in such a short piece. Thought the sound was great, and think the filmmaker did a really nice job in taking us on a journey with this little boy.
Beautiful animated short that touched on some really serious topics, which was kind of unexpected just because of the medium used. But I thought it did a really, really great job. And one thing that really stuck with me was after the first shot, after the boy was shot for the first time by the cop, there was this like deafening silence, and then they just walked away like, okay, that problem is solved. And that just like hit like an emotional chord with me. But the ending was so beautiful, with him coming back together and reforming and recreating, and just having this army of himself or people that look like him. And I thought that there's a lot of really strong messaging throughout this, and everyone did a really, really great job in putting this together. This was an amazing short.
I really liked the movement and the emphasis of the monsters and the silhouettes and the shadows in Run Little Boy. It was interesting to see that the most villainous thing that was happening was the two cops were against one black kid. I really got a kick out of how traditional government was represented by a baby, a giant baby wearing an old government wig. It was pretty genius, and I thought I got it right away that government can be slow moving and kind of immature of its resolutions, for all members of the community. basically immature and making forward progress. So it was also really highly effective to use the threat of violence so blatantly. And the tables were turned in this one because the threat of violence came from the very individuals who are supposed to uphold the law and protect us, Black lives included. So this one overall for me was full of layers and metaphors and movement. It was really creative. I really liked the color scheme, and the sound was equally just as balanced as well. It was really trippy and very, very cool.
This was fantastical and bizarre, a nightmare of epic proportions. The giant judge baby was my favorite. I just wanted to get inside the process of creating it because there were such amazing images of things I've never seen before or never would have thought of. And I really loved the themes of banding together and not being broken down by a violent system, but working towards a similar cause where you can't ignore it anymore. There was a lot about institutions and justice and how they come for a child at such a young age. So really, really cool piece.
From the very beginning, it's just heartbreaking seeing this little boy like running from this like police officer monster, it appears to be. I think the saddest part of it is that this is honestly what Black children fear. Like, the nightmares for Black children are different for other children. And I think that this film really captured that. I also liked how there's no dialogue, but there's still such a deep story being told. And, you know, the ending was really heartbreaking and it broke my heart when he shot. But then it was like this like powerful like turn where more and more of him like came to life. And I think the message behind that is really powerful and it shows that we need to stand together. And yeah, I really enjoyed this film.
It does a great job of being straight up visual storytelling, so cinematic in how it brings about its themes through visuals. It is, it's appropriate for, honestly, at this point, right? It's appropriate for children and for adults because it's basically the talk that we often talk about Black parents having to have with their children. It's basically that personified dramatically through a child's nightmare. And I mean, the whole point of the piece, it should be appropriate for children to see because the whole point of the piece is that this is from a child's mind. This is what they get from watching the news, from looking outside their window, from listening to those around them. This is what they have to go to bed at night concerned about. Now personified into a version of reality. The animation is good because it does this thing of giving you a false sense of sincerity and a false sense of security, that, oh, this is just for play, this is just for fun. There is nothing fun about this, no matter how fun it looks like, you know, and silly and irreverent. This is very serious, and the piece is able to do that. It has this wrapping of cutesiness, but at its core is a very serious and vitally important material that it is working with.